Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell, and today we're going to take a look at one of the best hard drives available for the Amiga 500 computer. This is the SupraDrive 500XP.
Okay, this is an advertisement in the December of 1990 issue of Amiga World magazine showing the SupraDrive 500XP. This hard drive was released in 1990, so this is one of the first advertisements about this drive. You can pause the video if you want to read or study any of the information.
Alright, so let's take a look at this SupraDrive 500XP. Let me get my pointer. Okay, well, first up, we've got the nameplate right here. I think this is your power on LED, if I remember correctly, and this is your busy or hard drive activity LED. This one's green, this one's yellow. Okay. And then right here we have, I think this does have a built-in fan, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like a 40 millimeter fan that's built in. And then that right there is the connector. Okay, and you got like, well, let me put it down. In fact, let me do it, well, I can do it this way. But it's not like, okay, I want you to be able to see it. So let's zoom in. Let's zoom in, and for some reason it's not like, yeah. Okay, well. I don't know if you can see that or not because the light's not really hitting it. So let me aim it up. Maybe you can see it, you know, better like that. But this appears to be some jumpers right here. I don't know what that's for. I'll have to read the manual to find out. You got a warning label right here. Hopefully you can read that. Okay. And then there's switches right here. The switches right there. I believe the switches are for turning the memory on and off. I think it's also for turning the hard drive on and off. I have to, again, read the manual to find out what these switches are for. And this is the pass-through right here. Let me zoom out a little more. That right there is the pass-through. So you take that metal part off and you can plug in something else, you know, into there. I like the way it's got, you know, air vents on the side like that. You know, it's on both sides. Because hard drives do get hot, especially SCSI hard drives. So it's nice to have that airflow like that. And then here on the back, we've got, of course, the external power supply connector goes there. There's your on-off switch. And this right here is your external. This is a standard 25-pin SCSI connector. So you can hook up other SCSI devices like a SCSI CD-ROM drive, a SCSI Zip 100 drive, another external SCSI hard drive or whatever. That's what that port right there is for. Okay, and this is the bottom. Let me zoom back out. This here is the bottom of this SupraDrive 500XP. And mine, there's different variations of this hard drive depending on how much memory it had and the size of the hard drive. This was considered the high-end model because it has a 105 megabyte hard drive and it's got 2 megabytes of memory installed. You can install all the way up to 8 megabytes of memory, but in order to do that you have to have the rarer, you have to install the rarer 1 meg by 4 bit DRAMs, and those were hard to find even back then. So I don't know why SupraDrive decided to use those rare memory chips. But the SupraDrives is a good way to find those rare memory chips. If you ever get a SupraDrive that has more than 2 megabytes of memory, check to see if it's got those rare memory chips, because you can use those memory chips to do the 2 megabyte chip RAM upgrade on both the Amiga 500 and the Amiga 2000 motherboards. So this is one of the sources for those rare chips. This is where I found a lot of those chips, those rare chips, 1 meg by 4 bit chips. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to take this drive apart so that we can see what's on the inside. Yeah. So we'll do that after a quick commercial. Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. Are you sick and tired of all the dumbasses in the checkout lines using debit and credit? Well, you can become one of the smart ones by switching to cash today. Yes, cash. It's still the best form of payment. It's easy, quick, and so convenient too. Cash. What's in your wallet? Alright, let's go ahead and take this cover off so we can see the inside of this wonderful drive. And there's screws right here. So yeah, there's screws right here. I don't want to, okay, I'm going to do it like this because I don't really want to put pressure on that rear switch. And the screws, they're little flathead screws like that. Okay, I believe these are 3mm. And you can get these at your local Ace hardware store if you live here in the United States. I don't know what kind of hardware stores you have over in Europe and Australia. But these are 3mm flathead bolts. And they appear to be like 3/8 of an inch long, you know, if you wanted to replace these. The only difference is that these are painted to match the case. You know, they're painted. So that's the only difference. And then there's two bolts up on the top here. I'm using a low torque, German screwdriver. These are perfect for doing stuff like this. These are fine thread bolts, so you do not want to use a full-size screwdriver on these that has high torque. You want to use a low torque screwdriver like this. So, in other words, don't use one of those screwdrivers with a heavy handle and it has all these multiple tips and stuff. Don't ever use a screwdriver like that when you're working on vintage electronics or vintage computers. You want to get yourself a good set of screwdrivers. Don't be cheap, don't be lazy, invest the money in a good set of screwdrivers. And these right here are really good. If you get a set of these are very nice. They're made in Germany. The name of these is Wiha, I think it's W-I-H-A, made in Germany. They're really nice screwdrivers. And I have two complete sets of these. I like these screwdrivers so much that I have the main set that I use all the time, and then I have a backup set, a spare set. In case anything happens to my main set, I have a spare set. That's how much I love these. Now, these are expensive, but you get what you pay for. If you take care of these screwdrivers, okay, they should last you the rest of your life. So I consider tools an investment, especially good tools like these. And that's one of the mistakes I see a lot of you make when I watch your YouTube videos. You use crappy screwdrivers, or you don't use the correct screwdriver. The screwdriver is too big, too heavy, has too much torque for the job that you're doing. One screwdriver does not fit all. Why do you think they have different size screwdrivers and different types of screwdrivers? There's a reason for that. And in a future episode of the Hans Campbell Show, it's probably going to be part of the electronics series of videos that I do. I'm going to teach you about the different screwdrivers. The different heads, the different sizes, what each one is used for, the torque rating, all of that, so that you'll know, what to look for when you buy a set of screwdrivers. Okay, so we got those screws out. I don't think it's going to come out, though, until after. You also have to remove the side cover for the pass-through. So we're going to do that next. I don't want to scratch that paint off the head of those bolts, so I'm being real careful with that. Yeah. All right. So this should now come off. We'll take this piece out of here. This is just a separate piece. These are really nicely made hard drives. I mean, they really are. Supra has always been one of my favorite companies as far as Amiga peripherals and hard drives and things like that. They make high quality stuff. Even their modems. I remember having an internal Supra modem from my Amiga 2000 computers. One of actually it was my first Amiga 2000 computer. I had a Supra modem plugged into one of the slots, and that modem worked beautifully. Never had any problems out of it. In fact, anything that I purchased that was made by Supra, I never had problems with. Supra has always been one of my favorite companies. They make good quality stuff. Now we're going to put this aside because we're going to look inside here, the inside of this. There's nothing really in it, because some of these I've actually have had a lot of these. I sold most of them because I only have so much room in both in my shop area and my storage closets in the house and over in my storage unit. I only have so much room. And so if a lot of you, I mean, a lot of you think that I just get this stuff right here just to resell. No, that's not true. I'm a serious Amiga computer collector, and I also like other vintage computers as well. But I only have so much room. And I've been collecting vintage computer stuff for decades. Not years, decades. Each decade is 10 years, okay? So if I would have kept all the stuff that I've gotten through all these decades, oh my God, man. My house, this house would be overflowing. I wouldn't have enough room to put it all. That's how much stuff I get. You know, each year I get a lot of vintage computer stuff. So yeah, I sell some of it. You'll see some of it on my eBay account. I sell some of it. But a lot of the more interesting stuff I do keep. Like, I like to have at least one of everything for the Amiga in really nice condition, preferably with its original box. So this is the Supra hard drive that I actually decided to keep because it's in really nice shape. But some of these, they do have a fan mounted right here. It's like glued in or something. They have a little small, I think it's like a 40mm fan there, just like on the GVP hard drives for the Amiga 500. They also have a little fan, you know, attached. But yeah, that's the cover. Alright, so let's take a look at the drive itself. So the hard drive itself appears to be a Quantum. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Appears to be a Quantum hard drive. This is 105 megabyte. And if you see it filled up like this, yeah, this is either 2 megabytes or 8 megabytes. Now, like I said, in order to get 8 megabytes of memory, you have to install the much rarer, much harder to find 1 megabyte by 4-bit DRAMs. Those are extremely hard to find. So, but yeah, this one has 2 megabytes of memory and 105 megabyte Quantum hard drive. So, and these LEDs, by the way, they come out. They just pop in. They actually plug into like sockets right here. So you can easily change those for any color LED you want, you know. As you can see here, it's got a real high quality, looks like a 3M card edge connector right here. Very high quality, very well made hard drive. When I come back after a quick coffee break, we'll take the hard drive off so that you can better see the motherboard itself. So I'll be back after this quick coffee break. Alright, so let's take this hard drive off. I'm probably going to need my full size. This is a standard number 2 Phillips screwdriver. Okay, this screwdriver here and this German screwdriver, these are both number 2s, number 2 Phillips, but one smaller has less torque. This is a low torque screwdriver. A low torque Phillips, you know, number 2 Phillips. This is a high torque number 2 Phillips, so that you see the difference between the two. They're both number 2 Phillips screwdrivers. Okay, and it's important that you use the correct screwdriver for what you're doing. Okay? If you don't want to strip out threads, you don't want to mess up your screws or the heads of your bolts or whatever. Okay, so this looks like it's got standoffs right here, nylon standoffs. You can get these, replace these at your Ace Hardware. Plus it has these brass ones. That's weird. So let's go ahead and take these off. I just want to make sure you can see it on the camera. See how this screwdriver head fits better? Fits this better? See? That's right. You got to use the correct screwdriver. And that's the one mistake that I see a lot of you make when you do your YouTube videos, your repair videos, you know, vintage computers stuff. You use the wrong screwdriver for what you're doing. And a lot of you use those crappy screwdriver handles that have all the different tips, you know. Don't use those. Those are crap. They are crap. Don't use them. Yeah, don't use them. They're crap. All right. So, let me turn this around. I probably should have pulled the cables first before removing the bolts, you know. But I think I can do it. Actually, okay. I'll just remove. It'd be easier to remove that small plug, and then, oh shit. It looks like it's got a, okay, so the red stripe goes toward this, the brass standoff here. So I just got to make sure. Yeah, so that plugs in right there. I think that's your SCSI device number. That's how you set your SCSI device, I think. That's what that's for. Let's see, I don't want those standoffs to hit those chips. So hold it like this. When you're pulling one of those ribbon cables out, you have to be careful. You have to be careful not to yank too much on the cable, because they can actually separate this top plastic part here. Okay, it can separate this top plastic part from this. So you have to be careful to pull on this evenly, carefully, so that you don't break this connector clip right here. And it can be very easily done, trust me. I've done it a few times myself, so yeah. Okay, so I think we can just move those out of the way, because I want to show you the chips. Actually, okay, so the red wire, okay, the red part of the cable is toward the power switch, because I'm going to have to take this off so that you can see the chips really good. So let me take this off. Again, you got to be careful when you're pulling it, because if you pull it cockeye, you can also bend these pins right here real easy. You can bend those pins real easy. So you got to be careful. You're going to pull it straight up, straight out. But anyway, before we get into that, I'll show you the hard drive first, the bottom of it. Quantum, 105 megabyte. Let me zoom out a little bit. 105 megabyte SCSI hard drive. These are your terminator resistors right here. Since this is the last drive on the chain, it has to be terminated. The first drive on the chain is usually, actually, if you're going from device 0 to 7, actually device 0 to 6, or 1 to 7 for that matter, the controller is device 7. And the hard drive is device 1. Okay, it's device 1. So, because both ends of the SCSI chain have to be terminated. So those are your terminator resistors for this hard drive. And this is for if you want to hook up an LED, a status LED, to the hard drive. That's what that's for. And yeah, this is a pretty nice hard drive. The only problem with these older quantum hard drives that are made like this, that has that square-looking frame like that, okay, that these have rubber gaskets that they dry out over time and they go bad, and that's what causes the hard drive to fail. The mechanics of the hard drive rarely ever fail. These are very high quality hard drives. But the weakness of these early quantum hard drives like this is the rubber gaskets that Quantum used inside the hard drive. They did that to make the hard drives quieter. But, I mean, they were not expecting people to still be using these hard drives 20, 30 years later. So they weren't worried about the rubber gaskets going bad, because they would last at least 10 years, 10 to 15 years. And they figured no one's going to be using these hard drives past that time, you know, and they'd be way out of warranty. So, yeah, they weren't worried about it. But they used those rubber gaskets to help make the hard drive quieter. Because for being a SCSI hard drive, these are actually pretty quiet. You know, they're not as noisy as your typical SCSI hard drive. These, I believe, ran at about between 3,600 RPM up to about 4,800 RPM is what these drives ran at. So, yeah. But that's the hard drive that came out of there. And now we'll take a look at the actual circuit board. So we're going to zoom back in. Yes, we're going to zoom back in. Okay. Okay, this is the circuit board, the main board for this SupraDrive 500XP. This is your main SCSI controller chip, right here. I believe this is your boot ROM. Okay, this is your memory, your DRAM. And, of course, your support chips, as well as your programmed chips right here. And this, it looks like it's got, okay, let me double check something. Gotta use my, yeah, that's what I thought. Alright. It's got these two connectors here. This connector is for hooking up an internal fan. I told you that some of these did have a fan installed, and it would plug into here. So I would recommend installing a fan and plugging it into here, because the fan does help prolong the life of the SCSI hard drives. SCSI hard drives, they run hot because they're very fast. They run hot, they're very efficient, you know, so they need to be kept cool. Okay, and this right here is an internal connector for a power supply. Okay, so I don't know if it uses the same pinout as the connector, this main external connector here, or what. I'd have to look at the schematics on this. But yeah, here's your pass-through right here. That's your pass-through. Yeah, that's your switch, 25-pin SCSI connector, the usual. But as you can see, this Supra hard drive is very well made. It is a very nice SCSI hard drive. I actually think that the SupraDrive 500XP blows the doors off the one made by GVP. I think the one made by GVP is a piece of crap, piece of garbage. And that's the reason why I sold every one I ever got. I didn't like the way they were made. They have basically one main chip. It's a surface mount chip in the middle of the board. And if that chip ever goes bad, you might as well throw the whole hard drive in the garbage. Whereas this hard drive uses much higher quality discrete components. Very nicely made. Very high quality drive. Plus the GVP drive has a plastic case. It's mainly a plastic piece of crap. Whereas the SupraDrive 500XP, this is all heavy gauge steel. It's a metal case. Very nicely made. So I consider this one of the best hard drives ever produced for the Commodore Amiga 500 computers. So if you want a good, solid, stable, dependable external hard drive for your Amiga 500, I highly recommend this one, the SupraDrive 500XP. Well, that's it for this video. That's it for this video. I have a lot of content coming up, so stay tuned for that. I'm also planning on doing all of these Wonder months for the 3 Wonder months. I'm going to be doing Amiga gameplay through videos. And how those are going to be done, I'm first going to show you the game underneath on my workbench here, underneath the camera. I'm going to show you the box, front and back. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see the box, you know, really good. And then I'm going to show you what's inside the box, the disks, the maps, the code wheels, the documentation, whatever is in the box. I'm going to show you what's in the box for each game. And then I'll take you guys inside my Amiga computer room, my main computer room, and we'll actually play a little bit of that game, of each game. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy these videos. I don't think there's enough of this kind of content on YouTube. I mean, yeah, sure, there are people that show like the top 10 Amiga games or the top 50 Amiga games, but they really don't get into detail into, you know, as far as each game. They don't show you the boxes. They don't show you what's inside the boxes. And they don't spend time to actually play the game on a real Amiga computer. That's another thing. I'm not going to be playing using emulation. I'm going to be doing these game playthroughs on an Amiga 2000 computer. So yeah, you get to see these games the way they appear on a real Amiga computer, not emulation. And yet, each one of these game playthrough videos are going to be in 1080p. So stay tuned for all this exciting content that's coming up on the Hans Campbell Show. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more exciting content from the Hans Campbell Show. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.